Well, welcome everyone to this edition of Level Up Co-ops, our Lunch and Learn series. Now, I think this is our third one, and we started the Lunch and Learn series based out of the work we do collectively called the WCBDI, and it is the Worker Cooperative Business Development Initiative that the ICA group is a part of. And my name is Joel Mejia, if you didn't know. And part of my role, I'm in the team called New Ownership Opportunities. And part of that role is to provide education and technical assistance to New York City worker co-ops. And so I really have a great time finding experts that know a lot more than I do, to come and meet you all and for them to impart their expertise upon us. And what better topic than social media? Um, Often talked about, little understood, or and sometimes it's capacity thing. But we've brought on Sandy DeJesus, CEO from Go Anomalous, an expert in social media storytelling, considered by many an influencer. And we're happy to have you, Sandy.
Super grateful for everyone making time and being here. As I'm listening to everyone speak, I'm getting really excited. I've grown up in this space, and my understanding of the space can really help others digest this challenge of social media marketing. Social media marketing, to my benefit, has become something that everyone needs. Luckily for my passion and my business, it helps me a lot. And when I connected with Shelly, she spoke to me about what she was doing. She connected me with Joel, and we spoke about bringing a tool to life. I was asking myself, what kind of tool could I bring to life that could really help anyone? And the first thing that popped into my head was a compass. If I could create something like a compass, then anyone could use it and understand it, and also understand that they can trust the tool as well. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. I'm a very visual person, so I was very insistent on having these designs. So I appreciate the opportunity to share. And I can also share some of my story better. So here we go. Uh, Let me know if everything is still seen. Yeah, Franklin, you're the only person I can see. Good. All right. So we'll get into more of this later once you guys hear more about my story. But I want to invite you to just break down this first phrase here: trust your content. I think so many of us in this conversation of social media marketing feel so overwhelmed by the task that we struggle to imagine a flow, a state of being where we trust our content. Trusting our content, what does that mean? Is that we have trust in our content, it's going out and it's doing the work that we needed to. We're not stressed out. I run into a lot of teams that are stressed out. I first want to start out by also saying, my intentions, what I ask from everyone listening throughout this presentation. I also want to invite you to take a look at these core values. These are the core values that me and my team prioritize on a daily basis, whether it be personal or professional. And I want to especially highlight the bottom one, all in. A mantra we like to speak about in my organization is: this opportunity has the ability to drastically improve my life. This is a healthy, positive mantra that we should all remind ourselves of. So for this presentation, I want you just for a second to be all in for this presentation. Really listen to this presentation, digest it, and invite yourself to visualize. Something that might help you visualize is hearing a little bit about myself. So I've been in content for so long. If you see this image right over here on the bottom left, I was creating content in 2011 on YouTube. So my story is very interesting in the fact that I spent so much time growing up learning about the dynamics of being social, being popular in school, and learning about also the social dynamics of certain video games and how these influencers were creating videos on these video games and what those dynamics were on YouTube. I grew up in the space, to put it quite frankly. By the time I graduated in 2017, 2018, I had my first gig 6 months after graduating high school. And I was traveling the world doing video for a entrepreneur. This to me is just such an interesting note here, that entrepreneurs were investing in videographers back in 2018, and it's 2024. What a time. 2019, I was very around the Gary Vaynerchuk space. For those of you that aren't familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk, I invite you to write down his name, do a little bit of research. This is the kind of guy that helps me update myself on social media. He is just a guru in this space, and he's really nailed in the dynamics of what systems to implement and how to play around with putting out a lot of content. So I'd highly recommend doing some research on Gary Vaynerchuk. He's been the inspiration of how I built my agency and how we provide value to the entrepreneurs, essentially through content creation. So again, I want to create a compass because this stuff is changing so quickly. A lot of what my passion is behind helping entrepreneurs with their social media marketing is that keeping a business alive is so challenging. So again, a compass, something that we can all carry, that regardless of where we end up in life, we can still navigate towards success with our business in terms of lead generation. And I want everyone to know that this is definitely a conversation of lead generation. We'll speak a little bit about how social media marketing ties into marketing overall and how it's a huge booster. Some people don't get to see that level because just getting into social media marketing is so challenging, but this is definitely a compass to integrate everything that you're already doing with your current business model and connecting it to social media marketing. This is something that you can give it a shot one quarter, give it another shot another quarter. If your team expands, you can revise it. One of the biggest tools that I've used with the organizations that we help when we're talking about marketing is a vision tracker. This is stuff that so many organizations that I run into don't even hear about. I highly recommend another great little book. It's essentially the concept of the entrepreneurial operating system. And that right there is going to help you with another great simple questions to ask yourself that are really helpful for social media marketing to think a little bit longer term. But again, all these are tools that entrepreneurs don't have. So this is a tool that you can use to reassess, find balance, give it a shot, track, improve, and build leverage for yourself on social media. So I'm going to graze through this. I want to just put emphasis on that this is a tool. This is almost a document that you want to follow that will ask great questions and will guide you into the space that you need to put together a really great playbook. Playbooks with systems and really breaking down your business in a manner of, if you were going to sell it, is huge. Because if you build a business like you're going to sell it, that means it runs smoothly and you can hand it off to someone. The same goes for social media marketing. Can you build a system that is easy, and can you step away from it? And how does it work with your current business? These are questions and guides and conversations to help you get updated any year. My hope with this tool was, could you use it 5 years from now? Could you use it 10 years from now? And my guess is yes, just based off of everything that I've seen in the last 7 years of doing this professionally. So here we go. I'm really excited also, by the way, we haven't spoken about a Q&A session, but I would love very much to dive into that towards the end. Essentially, as you guys saw here before, we have 14 topics to go over. This is a huge, fun protocol to go through with your team. If you are your only team member, then go through it with yourself, and just fill things in and create a nice little sheet, a playbook for yourself. So
I'm
first
sorry
and
to interrupt.
yeah,
It's
Shelly, please go
really
ahead.
small.
Is it?
Can we make it bigger if possible?
Yeah, for sure. I think I know why. Give me 1 second. Is everything so far is landing, Shelly? Am I doing good?
Yes. Mhm.
Awesome. All right. I'm just going to change the dimensions of my screen. I have an ultra wide screen, so that's probably why you guys saw it pretty small. Um, is it better now? Like if I did it like this, is it is it good there, Shelly?
It's
Not
much better, much better.
much better. Okay, excellent. Okay, excellent. Yeah, this is where we dive into the nitty gritty stuff. So I appreciate you jumping in on that. So overview of social media marketing, it's really understanding, well, how does it work? How does it grow? Understanding the concept. I've understood, especially with the complex levels of marketing and what is social media and the tools. This is an abstract thing that we're speaking about. This is something that, yes, I mean, I've been in the space professionally for 7 years, but 7 years is still, 7-year-old child. Social media is still relatively young. So what is it? It's just understanding that these social media platforms are just where people connect. They're just where people connect. I'm sure a lot of us can understand what it's like to go to a really popular club, a nightclub. Each of these places is like a nightclub. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, it's like a nightclub. Each nightclub has its own vibe. Understanding each vibe, knowing how to dress for the part is really going to set you up for success. Each of these platforms are slightly different, very similar to how each nightclub might be slightly different. So understanding how Facebook works and the kind of demographic that is in there, by the way, all demographics can be found across all platforms, but if you're really needing to hack and really needing to make a sale and you're really needing to move quick, it might be faster for you to focus more on Facebook for a certain demographic. Same thing for Instagram. It really depends on what your business and your offer is, which again, social media marketing connects to your entire operation, your entire funnel. There are different things in terms of, updating yourself on different techniques and different things like that. We can dive into a little bit more of those nuances later. But I just want to cover here that social media marketing is just people connecting with people. I find a lot of people get overwhelmed by this, but it's just people connecting with people. How you want to leverage it is specifically different to each person, but have this conversation. Understand, okay, well, who do we want to connect with? How do we want to make them feel? How do we set something up that can help us do this consistently? Things like that of that nature. Social media is also nowadays really where a lot of business is happening. I mean, all of my business has come from social media. My story, to dive a little bit more, I mean, I'm from Brooklyn, the Dominican Republic. I was born there, came to New York City, living in public housing and really just focusing on being a good person and being a small business owner. I've generated all of my revenue from social media. And it's really just knowing how to reach people and have a conversation. Reaching more people on social media is obviously easier. I can post a video of just being authentic and just saying, hey, this is Sandy, this is what I do. It'll reach 200 people at least within the hour. Yes, that is like slow, but this is just to say that if you feel completely lost, you getting started is definitely a good idea. And then building leverage, you'll figure out on your own. But just have that conversation of first admitting to yourself, okay, social media, I can use this for boosting sales, driving traffic to a website. If your current funnel is a website, we work with a guy that does brand activations to market brands in public spaces with selling ices. He has a website, he has Instagram, he drives traffic from his Instagram to the website. A lot of people trust more when they can see more of your content, more of who you are online. What's beautiful as well is that there's different ways to hack social media, especially because of its platforms. A lot of these platforms are copying each other. So for example, creating a vertical video is essentially just an up and down video on your phone and posting that style of content, that style of marketing can be used on 6 major platforms. There are other social media platforms. I wanted to cover that as well. Social media platforms kind of pop up from you never know where. I remember when a lot of these platforms were taking off. TikTok used to be called Musically, used to be Twitter. You watching YouTube Shorts be created from YouTube. All these things were kind of born. So there are many social media accounts or platforms we don't speak about, but these major six: TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, Facebook, and X, are just waiting for your vertical video content. And so if you make one video a day, you can post 6 times a day, 180 times per month off of just one video, just answering an FAQ question on there, for example. Um, Learning different things like this can save you energy. I'm sure we all understand that running businesses is really challenging. So hacking things in this manner is really great. I want to also identify that this topic here, essentially as a business owner, helps me ask myself, what types of content can I create that can go on multiple platforms? Now I'm doing research in the right direction, because you have to hack this system. I'm sure a lot of you are understanding of that part. A lot of what I run into as well with social media is fogginess. You have to be pretty clear with social media. The reason why you have to be clear is because it gives you better data. If you're intentional about a social media marketing strategy, it gives you more data. You're more intentional. A lot of what we do on LinkedIn, for example, says Diana wants to join. So I'm just going to admit, I'm not sure if Shelly or Joel, you also have host permission still, but I'm
No,
going to admit.
so please do so.
Okay, yeah. So with social media marketing, you have to be specific. A lot of what we do on LinkedIn, for example, is, hey, let's post once a week with all the people that engage. They either like, they comment, or whatever. We're going to send them a conversation. We're going to ask them, speak to me about what resonated with you and why you engaged on that post. Why was that important to you? And then now you're having a conversation. If my goal is from posting once a week that I want to have one conversation with someone outside of my network a week, now I know I need to make 5 connections based off of the new strategy. These are very specific goals. If you guys aren't familiar with this SMART goal thing, I think we've all been hearing it since school, but specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and bound by time. I love the bound by times ones because social media, a lot of it is analytics driven. And as you mature with your social media strategy, the analytics help you. Advertising, hey, how much does it cost me to earn a customer with this ad on Instagram versus Facebook versus TikTok? Helps you start to build leverage, because that's the biggest thing here. Another thing that a lot of people don't think about is, well, what is our ideal client? Something that I love to do, especially with AI, is speak to AI about my brand and I have it create a fictional character. You can create pieces of advertising and marketing much easier when you can visualize who you're speaking to. We once worked with an influencer, a mother of 11 children, and she wanted to focus on mothers over 40s that wanted to develop their passions and interests. And so we created 3 avatars of 3 different women, maybe one that is not in a relationship, maybe one that is in a relationship, so on and so forth. This can be tremendous. So even going through and identifying who are we speaking to works really, really well on social media, can help you identify different trends you can try to create for yourself that are sustainable and don't sacrifice your brand reputation. Also understand that there's nothing really here that you can do at this point that is going to be different, really. When you're just getting into social media marketing, it's really great to just do market research. What are your competitors trying? What are other people doing? I hope a lot of this really releases the stress, because the biggest thing I want to emphasize here is that it's always changing. Social media landscape is always changing. Trends change. The way people hang out changes. So feel free to really attach yourself to different influencers and do the research necessary to understand who you're speaking to. Find fun ways to incorporate surveys. Anything that you would have done in traditional marketing, as you learn about social media marketing, try to still do that market research, but with a social media flair. Something that we've done this past week, we had another conference we partnered up with at the Javits Center, and we had 2 questions on a piece of paper that Walker buyers could answer on camera in exchange for a free book. So things like this, fun, engaging ways that feel natural, because the biggest thing is everyone is being marketed to so often, they've lost trust. Social media is a nice way to wet your way into people. And I hope you guys can hear the cats in the background. I we're already warned y'all this was going to happen.
We love cats.
So,
We love,
huh?
we love cats. It's cool.
Yeah, you said that's how also. Yeah, so again, really encourage yourselves here with this section of buyer personas. Encourage yourself to really put yourself in the perspective of your ideal consumer, your fake persona. Fake personas are really great for creating content as well. One thing I like to do is create a bio for a fake persona, a demographic, and I like to have conversations with AI or ChatGPT, and I like to say, "Hey, speak on behalf of this person. Give me some pain points. Give me some words that they would say. What is it like to live in a day for this person?" There's a lot of great tools nowadays, but it's really just what questions do we ask, which again goes back to this compass. I just want to make sure I'm covering everything here. Yep. All right. So in understanding more of your pain points, the reason why this stuff is so great is when creating content, it's really again about how can you make someone feel something. Speaking to someone's pain point on social media, creating a video, creating a video around what they might be going through. Hey, these are 3 things you should be doing if you're facing this problem. Something we've done with our own business is try to solve simpler problems for people. This is also really great for creating lead magnets and driving traffic to your lead magnets of, hey, here's a free PDF. Hey, here is a free guide. Here's a free tool. It's all really great. But it's about, again, really wanting to make this organic, and it's so different from industry to industry. But I guarantee you, if you go through each of these step by step, you can really start to unfold what your strategy should be moving forward. I want to also spend some time here with this conversation of setting clear objectives. I know a lot of this can be overwhelming, but what if even as well, just the goal was, hey, I want to get my video creation process to just 5 minutes. Time management here on the creation process is also really great as well. We've been able to reverse engineer models like, hey, let's film for a day. Think about what pillars or pain points your customers are hitting, and let's just film a lot of that back to back, because we need to only film once per month. You can play so much with social media marketing, and it really does have to be around you or whoever is a personal brand persona with the company. Mhm. So, like I mentioned earlier, with choosing the right platforms, if you want to move fast as a business owner, there are certain platforms that make more sense. For example, I can tell you that if you're running a physical commerce setup, if you have a brick and mortar and you want to move something quickly, TikTok and going live on TikTok is really, really great. Um, TikTok and the live streaming idea is something that we're not seeing a lot of people do, but it's because they just don't know about it. You can go live on Twitch and reach consumers as if it's a busy street in New York City. I think also if you know that you don't like to talk too much on social media and you want to keep things private and you want to keep boundaries, LinkedIn is a great space where if you're private, it doesn't seem unordinary. A lot of this is about awareness, which is great. It's a fun exercise. It's really it's about what you need in the short term, long term, and unfolding that idea. Um, Content calendars have been such a huge tool for us as well, just laying things across Monday, just a calendar, and really just identifying what buckets we want to hit each week before we make a call to action. Let's say we're trying to sell a webinar or some kind of in-person event. We can reverse engineer what we need that person to feel or experience before we bring up that conversation. We love doing this all the time, where you simply just apply the calendar to your creative strategy. Look at the calendar, identify what you want to speak about each day of the week and in what style. You can do carousels, you can do videos, you can do text posts, you can do a photo post. There's so many different kinds of content types. And again, ask yourself, am I aware of all the different kinds of content types? Like I mentioned a few times, overall marketing is really how you monetize on the leads that you can attract from social media marketing. Social media marketing is a fun place, but when it comes down to talking business, it's either some kind of obviously in-person interaction or a Zoom call. So knowing how your business already works, taking a look at how you already make relationships and applying that to social media, identifying different ways you can do this. What's your funnel? What tools do you already have? Some clients already have books. They have an in-person store. Work your social media strategies to flow nicely into your current funnel. This understanding this method here, and again, this tool could be really great for just your team members, can save you so much energy, because a lot of people want to say, hey, I want to post every day, but not every day you have to do a video. I think what I've also realized with the small businesses that we help, it saves you a lot of energy with the whole less is more mentality. So including graphics and including photos and video is typically the hardest part. Just gives you a more well-rounded look on social media. But again, it's all about what you see from your own perspective. I love when entrepreneurs come to us, and it's almost like they come to us and they say, "Can we do this?" I'm like, why not? We have to test. Let's follow your intuition. We have to ask ourselves if this is a smart idea, and we move forward. It's really about how the entrepreneur likes to build relationships. But so many times you can really just mix and match. It doesn't have to be hard. Something we like to ask ourselves is, how can it be easy? If you like to write, write. If you like to talk, podcast possibly. If you really like to talk, live streaming. I've done 24-hour live streams all the time. It's a fun style of marketing. Another big pillar is obviously storytelling. Something I'd like to cover here is unfolding a story and telling a story comes through experiencing a story. Um, Entrepreneurs sometimes get uncomfortable opening up. Again, it's really just about awareness. What would you like? If you feel like your intuition and your own internal compass is pulling you towards making deeper connections, maybe possibly one-on-one coaching down the line, I invite you to think about what kind of stories you would like to tell. Things that can really bring those deeper bonds. As I think about my services specifically, I know that I have to tell certain stories, and that I want to tell certain stories based off of the transformations that I am looking for. Biggest thing here that I also want to cover is just have a conversation. Most of the entrepreneurs that pay us to film for them, I'm literally just sitting behind the camera and just talking to them. So find someone you like, schedule a day with your friends, and just have conversations with them with the camera off to a side. And you will see how much of a great storyteller you are. Humans, we kind of pick this skill up along the way. Um, there's obviously different ways to tell stories. If you know you have to communicate credibility for your offers, then telling a story in a testimonial manner is really great. Instead of saying, "Hi, my name is so and so. I worked with so and so. They're really great." You could be like, "Hey, I want create a video where you're just talking to someone about the most transformational story that got to you while working throughout your career." Nice little subtle way to storytell. There are so many tools and resources. I can't tell you how lucky we are nowadays with how many tools. This whole presentation was put together on Canva. I grew up on Photoshop. Canva is easier, by miles. ChatGPT. There's also, I can't tell you how many different freelancers available that want to just, add stuff to their portfolio. It's about knowing how to talk to them and setting something up that's fair. You have so many tools. You have so many tools to make things high quality. We can get you started on a podcast with a $20 tripod and a $20 microphone that you can clip onto people and connect straight into your phone with a little bit of AI audio tuning, which are free tools online. You've got yourself a professional podcast. Each of these things require research, but the most important research that you should be doing is things that you're fascinated with. So again, I want to keep bringing this back to awareness. What do you actually want to do? What kind of relationships are you looking for? Think about the content you want to create, and then that'll help you refine the tools, because these tools will change. Canva might not be the best in a few months. Developing a content calendar can be done in different places. You can use some, we create some on an Excel sheet. We just make it super easy to use for people. So you can create one on for free on an Excel sheet, or you can pay for bigger tools. These are conversations that, again, when you're having with your team members, depending on what bandwidth your team members have and what roles they have, they might be able to recommend a better content calendar. Some content calendars come with software that let you also schedule your posts as well. So there's just a fun conversation there of content calendars. I'm such a nerd for content calendars. For brand voice, this is the one that I love the most, honestly, because brand voice enables a lot of us to be authentic nowadays. People and consumers want to work with brands they trust, which is why so many people gravitate towards social media. And so as you define your brand voice and identity, visualize yourself blooming like a flower. That's a visualization that I like to use with a lot of our clients. You're blooming, you are earning influence. What kind of influence would you like to earn? What are you reverse engineering? How do you want people to feel? And I highly recommend here to really think long term and be patient. A lot of people sacrifice their identity and brand voice for short term gain, and it's never worth it. It's never worth it. I can give you a lot of examples. Be patient, attract the right relationships. Not all money is created equally. Fast money's not good, y'all. So consistency across platforms is actually really good. A lot of people come to us and they're concerned that they have to create different kinds of content for those 6 major platforms, but being consistent is actually really good, because again, remember, these different social media platforms are really ladders for people to build a relationship with us. And so it all is really just feeding back to our funnel, how people can connect with us if they're ready for a deeper relationship. So being consistent across all platforms saves us so much energy. We take the same video, the same caption that is SEO optimized, and post it across all platforms. It's really, really great. But ask yourself, how do you want to appear? This is essentially the segment. How do you want to appear across all platforms? If you're clear about that, and then you can also find different ways to post across different platforms, it's just more traffic to your website, honestly. So core values is really what we're speaking about on this chapter here. Speak to yourself and to your team about what are your core values, what is the culture that you're building, and make sure that that culture can be felt across your page. I showed you guys some of my core values at the beginning. Identify your own. You can start to not only attract clients to your social media platform, but also potential talent to hire. So that is really great as well. What are your core values? What are your core pillars? Pillars pay the bill. Hey, what do we need people to feel about our company? Values pay the heart. What kind of people do we want to work with? So that's a good conversation to have there. This one is really great exercise to identify different influencers that you want to recreate, what kind of content you love from them. I love using this. I love going on Pinterest a lot and just looking at what other creators are creating. It's such a great way to get inspired and enable yourself to do so. It's really, really saves you a lot of energy. identify potential influencers. What you might be doing here is looking at different influencer marketing opportunities. If you're looking to uh, partner up with certain influencers, pay them for an ad is something that I've seen. Different influencers, when they're going viral, offer really great deals on video partnerships, and you can use a video with a influencer to promote your business. A lot of people, a lot of realtors do that here in New York City. I'm sure if you are connected to the influencer space, you've recognized a few. Um, I also want to invite you to think about micro influencers as well. Having a collaborative post with just a normal person is huge. Micro influencers took off during the pandemic, and they were making six figures just for having under 10,000 followers on just Instagram. So it's interesting to know that as well. Um, when you are creating relationships on social media, one thing I like to bring up is always abundance. How can you make it a win-win situation for everyone that you work with? It helps connecting and setting up healthy long-term relationships really great. The more emphasis you put on this, the more you can tell your clients and your potential employees or team members, hey, I prioritize long-term healthy relationships. This is also great for social media of like, hey, the reason why I create like this, explaining yourself gets easier and easier. You can also start to take this lesson on with content creators. Working with content creators is really challenging. So I encourage you to think about how can you make it work long term. And all this again is vibrated through your personal brand. If you go through all of this, you will have such an amazing playbook. There are many different ways to collaborate. Think about that as well. You can do a virtual podcast. I just did a podcast with a friend of mine from the UK. Pick a collaboration strategy that works for you. There are so many different ways to do it. Do something in person. You could hire someone else to be your personal brand persona for your business. Just ran into someone at a conference that's getting paid to be the personal brand for a company. So think about different collaboration strategies, just like business, that could make your social media marketing work long term. Um, Measuring, what I would say here is first identify which analytics really matter to you, track those, and improve. The number one analytic that you should really care about is, hey, I post this often. How many conversations am I having with people a week? There's so many more nerdy things that we can go into there, like conversations of watch time, how often are people watching, because these different analytics can help you bring in and systemize so that it's easier bringing in maybe higher spenders, clients that have a higher lifetime value with your company. I would say have this conversation of analytics with your team. What analytics are important to us that we need to track? Have an analytics meeting. What analytics are we tracking now, and which ones might we want to track in the future? You need to know that things are working. Social media advertising is just getting easier and easier. And unfortunately, because of that, it's getting more expensive. For example, social media advertising was free for a long time, and now it feels like it's so hard to get organic reach. Right now, you can boost something on Instagram very easily and Facebook, or you can dive into Ad Manager. Knowing a lot of these things can help you delegate as well. Who would I need to hire? I like to always think if I have the money to solve a problem, I don't have a problem. And as a business owner, sometimes I like to just pay someone else for the problem to be fixed. Understand what different forms of social media advertising are there and are becoming available. I just learned of one where you can essentially advertise to the home screens of like people's peacocks and like you know, different home network media viewing, kind of like Netflix or Amazon Prime Video. So there's many different ways that you might not be aware of. Ask yourself and your team this question. Creating effective ads goes back to building relationships. Have confidence in this domain, because regardless of what your idea is, it's always about how the tire hits the ground. Test your idea and let it run. I literally remember a season where people were specifically creating ads in lower resolution because they were getting better return. TikTok has shown us this too, that anything could take off. So believe in your idea and again, build leverage. How do I like to connect with people, test, track, improve? And again, hey, what is an effective ad? Let's Google that as a team. Uh, Budgeting and bidding strategies with advertising is essentially you have to understand that people are all bidding for your customer. So when you're paying 10 cents per click or $10 per click, it's knowing essentially the competition that's competing for the demographic that you're targeting. And depending on how good your creative is, it's also essentially measuring how expensive it is for you to get a click. So just understand that realm. You can test with $20 a day. You can test an ad. I like to do what is called A/B testing, create two versions of the ad and see which one gets better results. You can test with just a few dollars, but that's essentially how bidding works. Just for those that you weren't aware, this is essentially what you can do on top of organic performance. Instead of just posting, you can also boost an ad with money. Again, analyzing ad performance can be so complex, or it can be super, super simple. Know what you need. Partnering up with different creatives and different people, honestly, like myself, social media advertising, know that anyone can sell you on an idea. The question is how does it work? And you are already testing stuff. So how is it working for you already? That is just a really great conversation about awareness again. But analyzing ad performance, my biggest thing is, okay, if I spend $20 a day, again, how many more conversations am I having? That's pretty straightforward. Most of our funnels for our businesses require having conversations with some kind of quoter or professional. If you want to increase your engagement, you feel like you've been posting for a while and you're like, I want to increase my engagement. There are different things that you can take into consideration. Biggest thing is how much energy do you want to pour into it? You can work on being more emotionally impactful with your video and just how you talk, or you can ask questions with your CTA. Just know that essentially the only reason why engagement is important is because it essentially gives you feedback that your content is doing really well on social, and that gives you social proof. But it also helps your content reach more people. It's a performance thing. There are many different ways to increase engagement. Figure out what you can do and which ones you actually want to do long term. I don't focus too much on this stuff because I know based off of the feedback that I hear one-on-one and the referrals that I get, that my stuff really, like, you can really, really feel it on my own personal brand specifically. But with our clients, depending on how much they invest in advertising and stuff like that, it can be seen by more people and you can get more engagement. But just know that engagement is essentially good for your performance and just getting feedback on your content. Um, Also, yeah, organizing your online communities. You can have some on Discord, you can have some on a Facebook page, you can have some on a website, you can have some on a newsletter. Map things out. Mind mapping, if you're using post-its on a wall or you're using some kind of mapping software. How do you want to move your communities and what do your communities do for consumers? Hey, you want a real intimate experience? Maybe enter my Discord, my private chat community. Hey, want to just stay updated? Enter my WhatsApp chat. Knowing how these different things can work and how they can benefit your business, and just again, a little bit of organization with this exercise can go so far. Responding to comments and messages can be a challenge. It's all about time management here. So plug it into the calendar or have someone, whoever's working on here, plug it into the calendar because it's definitely something to be prioritized. You want your brand to feel alive. If I comment and nothing comes back, or I don't feel like you took the opportunity to really engage with me as a consumer, I might check out. So in terms of leverage and growing, make sure that you're having this conversation. Hey, how are we responding to comments? How are we responding to messages? And how can we take people to the next step when they're ready? Have a conversation. Building a loyal following is essentially of building loyalty with a person. Be integrous to what you say. Be deep and be all in your community. Share with your audience, knowing that these are real people behind the other side of the phone can really help you build a strong audience. Also providing experiences where they can spend more time with you, like a podcast or a YouTube video series, can build you a loyal following that might be scary one day. Like if you watch just different YouTubers getting noticed. I have a few friends where we walk down the street and they are just noticed every 10 minutes. And it's because people feel like they know who that person actually is because of how great that person is at communicating and sharing online. But again, know what you want, know what you're going for, have smart goals and track. So know that with social media, regardless of what you are doing, the biggest thing you want to be increasing in is messages and conversations. From week one, regardless of the budget we launch with a client, you're getting feedback from your friends because your friends typically engage with you on social media. That's like your personal CRM. Know that you should be getting good feedback immediately. People have to be feeling something. If people are kind of ignoring it and they're not feeling the real you, they're not feeling you being genuine, and you yourself don't feel genuine filming that content, maybe you're being guided by the creative person you work with, or maybe you were just following a hunch. Know that that is a huge one. You want to be able to get really great relationship feedback from all of your content. Have people that you can trust with feedback on your content. Um, the reason why I say that is just because also as well, content is constantly changing. I can't tell you how many different pieces of content we test on just LinkedIn, that LinkedIn is just rolling out to some of its influencers. So know that the biggest thing here is, am I shaking more hands? The more hands you shake, the more money you make, is a nice little saying with social media. A lot of people tend to forget that in all the sauce of design and video and all that stuff. The number one tool that I would say if you're just getting started with analyzing social media performance is, number one, just knowing how to look at the analytics, getting familiar and taking your time, making time to research how to even look at your analytics on social media is great. Knowing that you are also tracking, hey, how many conversations I had on an Excel sheet. This can give you so much reassurance because creating content can be risky and it might be emotionally tied to it as well. So you can do that. There are also tools you can pay for as well, and they're getting really, really great. Number one thing I would always go back to is watching a YouTube video about it because they all look pretty, but then you're paying $100 a month and then you're like, hey, do I really need to be paying for this? But know that if you run into any creative or any team members that aren't necessarily tracking or don't want to track, that's something you want to stay away from. I know that art is subjective, but you gotta be everything you do. You're trying to keep your business alive. Cash flow is oxygen. You gotta be meeting more people. How you make adjustments is really understanding how you want to move forward. So if, for example, you're working with a videographer, also understand that that videographer's responsibility is videography. How can they do a better job of filming? If you yourself have the responsibility of sales and marketing, just keep having that conversation with yourself of what is it doing for us and where do we need it to go? A social media strategy should, number one, break even. If you're spending $6,000 a month on social media marketing, you should at least make $6,000 a month back. That should be the first goal. If you can break even, you're getting your money back and you're breaking even, but all the video and all the seeds that you're planting, you get to continue taking. Same thing if you're spending $100. Think about it from that manner, because social media needs to be where you get to be open and it generates conversations. If it's not doing that, then something needs to be tweaked, regardless of what you're spending, because it could be done with anything, absolutely anything. Just be super organized. Know what you have time for when you're reporting. We like to meet with clients once a month, for example, but typically we only meet with clients once a month when we're handling pretty standard amount of social media marketing for them. So they don't necessarily need to be super hands-on. I would say if you're creating content weekly, you should be looking at your analytics weekly. If you're trying to roll in new leads weekly, have an analytics meeting weekly. How many people did we meet? Who are they? You know, tracking is so fun when you embrace it and you can take ownership and responsibility. And it's huge for building leverage. So really here, just have a conversation with yourself and your team of what analytics are important and how often you're meeting as well. It's a huge one there.
Quick time check, Sandy.
Oh yeah, please.
Got about 5 minutes. We're supposed to end at 1:30. I'm willing to go a little bit further than that, but to respect folks' time.
That's totally fine. I appreciate the update. There's a lot to cover, as you can see. I want to invite everyone here to really download this and go through this with your team. This is how you will move 90% of the fog. The other 10% is just having faith in yourself. We'll go through this a little bit faster. We're wrapping up now, but know that there are trends that you can take advantage of that do align with your core values. That could be done very easily. So spend time watching and seeing what trends could speed up your relationships. There are constantly new tools coming out. Identify how you find out about these features and tools and make time for it. New tools are coming out constantly. It's a big system conversation here. What do we need to accomplish? How much does it cost us? And are there new tools that can make it easier? So again, fun conversation here about awareness. There are so many innovative campaigns. Once you identify if it's you or someone else that'll be spending time with the marketing, invite them to learn about the space and learn about what other people are trying across all these different platforms. You can find something fun that can save money and generate you more relationships than you can imagine. Know that social media will change and that this is maintenance. That's what I want to cover here. It's maintenance. Find tools that can help you with that maintenance, like a compass. Identify potential crises. Crises happen all the time. What happens if we get hacked? What happens if we don't have content and we need content? All of it. Think about them, write them down, have protocols for them. Because they happen all the time. If you're not in a storm, one is coming. Same thing for social media marketing. Have multiple different backups as well. Integrate this into email marketing, all that. It'll help you out. Communication is huge. If you don't have a communication channel you trust, assign that task to someone and create a communication channel you trust. We use Discord. And speak about it. A lot of this, again, like I told you guys, you know more about social media than you think. When you're tackling something new, speak about it to your team, have conversations about them and improve. There are certain laws and regulations around like using music on advertising, but I wouldn't worry too much about it, but definitely start, use each of these sections as a shelf and start piling that data in and learn about the social media laws and regulations. Know about, different platforms have different ethics. Know about which ethics you're playing in and know which ethics you want to stand for as well. This one is good to track. It's huge. Before you post something on social media, know whether or not someone can steal it from you. That one's pretty straightforward. Make sure that everything is safe, passwords, online storage, all that stuff. Again, each of these chapters, just have a conversation with your team, embrace each of these sections. There are different social media policies, again, take a look at them, embrace it. This is kind of like the higher level stuff, but if you want to set your business up for success, you want to make sure that all the shadows are covered. And make sure that you're creating a policy that really does work for your team. Everything is different for everyone. And also make sure that the policy includes reviewing the policy. Yeah. One thing I like to do is to encourage, hire, fire, and praise people with these kinds of culture building tools. make sure that when you're training your team, you are encouraging the behavior and leading by example. Like I said, update, where's your tool? Oh, hello. I think we have some feedback, but Joel, we can let's wrap here because this is just really just recap and just reassuring people to get started and things of that nature. So this is really just
can you thank you for this. Can you let people know how they will get a copy of this?
For sure. Yeah. So we have everyone's email, right, Joel?
Yep.
So I'm going to send everyone a PDF version of this. As you guys heard, a lot of this you will have to go through with you and your team. I'll also be creating a playbook, something that you can fill out that we'll send to everyone. Just feel free to play with the information today, and we'll create some assets for you to go through with your team.
Wonderful. Wow, it's a lot of information.
It
To
is.
be honest,
It is.
you know, lucky for me, I have this in the back of my palm, you know. Part of my work is doing a lot of implementing a lot of little tricks and best practices. So really appreciate just the confirmation around that. I'm curious, given that we're over time, if anybody had questions, I do want to open it up.
And may I just say,
Yes.
again, review this stuff, go through one of these at a time, and just have conversations and track that. Every team we work with that does that, listens to what we say, the entire team gets happier and social media just becomes stronger.
I had a question if we have like 2 minutes.
Yes, please.
I have time.
Yeah. This is Denise. So I'm from a cooperative, I'm a home care agency in the Bronx, and we've been operating since 1985, right? So we're just like the last 2 years started focusing on our social media platforms. We do a lot of postings in Facebook, and it's connected to Instagram. I was wondering if we wanted to try to use LinkedIn, what are like some examples of stuff of posts we can do as an organization, us being a home care agency?
I like to unravel here the how, the why, and the what.
Okay.
You know, so how do you do what you do? Why do you do what you do? And what is it that you do? We worked with a company for all of 2023 that they sold coffee, but not only did they sell coffee, they sold coffee in 350 different stores across the US with over 5,000 employees. And the way that they made the coffee making process so romantic is why they were so huge. They were making over $300 million a year. And it's because there's this intimacy that could be brought into anything. And the more you romanticize what you do to others and have an opportunity for people to feel those aromas, they will just come to you and be like, wow, you know what? Not only is this what I was looking for, but how you do it is what I was looking for. This is stuff we test on LinkedIn always. LinkedIn is a very emotionally intelligent platform. So if you create for LinkedIn, the content will work on all other platforms. And invite yourself to play as well. LinkedIn should not feel like a boogie monster. Okay. LinkedIn should not feel like a boogie monster. Go on there and connect. You know, think back to all your favorite conversations that you've had speaking to people about this stuff, and how can you recreate that feeling for people on LinkedIn? That's the creative part. That's the fun part.
Thank you.
But Sandy DeJesus, thank you so much for your expertise and wisdom. We'll conclude here. Thank you so much, everyone.